Michelle Wong, founder and CEO of Nifty Advisor Support.
And I'm Nick Scott, client service expert and program advisor at Advisory Education Partners.
And we're very excited to kick off our partnership between Nifty Advisor Support and Advisory Education Partners by discussing how to easily navigate common talent challenges within the financial advisory industry. At the end, we'll have a couple of special offers as a personal thank you for watching this video.
Terrific. Let's get started.
Awesome. A little bit about me. I have been in the industry 13 plus years now. I studied financial economics. Eventually I knew I wanted to start my own business and found my way into the wealth management industry. I was recruited by a couple insurance firms at the time to be a financial advisor, but instead of being an advisor, I was like, hey, let me get my feet wet with a client servicing role and kind of work my way up. And that's where I found a couple of the larger RIAs in the DMV area. They're both around the 2 billion AUM mark, and did that for 6+ years before starting Nifty. I started Nifty right before COVID, which was a blessing in disguise, kind of being set up remotely and having that infrastructure. And it's been really amazing seeing how the members on my team and all the experiences I've learned that other people in client servicing have, which I'm happy to share later in the presentation today, have had the same challenges. And I know Nick is very much aware of those challenges as well, where the experience of a CSA is very different from those as a financial advisor. So I'm really excited just to see what both our experiences are and where we can help financial advisors listening in today.
Yeah, and a little bit about me, my background, 20+ years in the industry, client-facing roles, and also team management. And, Advisory Education Partners was really born out of the frustration that we had with trying to hire and train, specifically train people, especially people from outside the industry, where I think as a whole, independent financial advisors have a lot of challenges in hiring and training their talent because they don't have the deep resources, the dedicated client or human resources departments that they need to properly vet candidates and bring them on and then set up a training plan. So, we were hiring people and coming up with training plans and really just surprised at how little was out there in the form of resources to help people get up and running. That traditional plan became get them licensed and they should be all set. And really, we know, especially today with the way financial advice has evolved to being more comprehensive and more holistic, it's a lot more than just what somebody's going to learn taking the Series 7 or the Series 6. So, we've become the employee training and development partner for independent financial advisors. And we're excited to be partnering up with Michelle and Nifty. We've spent a lot of time talking, and we have a lot of similarities in our experience and how we view the world. So, looking forward to this and to more programs like this.
So Nick, I would love to hear your opinion in terms of what you feel like the current state of talent is and the challenges that you see advisors having the most.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now what we're seeing is something that continues, which is this big demand for experienced talent. I think we're seeing first, as a whole, the industry is moving, I think, a lot towards independent advisors setting up their own shops. And as they're coming out and they're leaving the mothership, so to speak, they're happy and they're satisfied with their newfound independence and having their own control over all the decisions to run their own practices the way they see fit. But then you start to realize that there was a lot of benefits to working for a big organization, and one of the big ones is the hiring and training of people. So unfortunately, I think one of the trends that I see is advisors tend to hire in reaction to need. They come out, or they start to have success, they're starting to bring on new clients, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got to hire somebody. We needed to hire somebody 2 or 3 months ago. So they wind up going out and looking for what I call the unicorn candidate, right? It's that person who has perfect experience. Basically what you're doing when you're trying to hire that person is you're outsourcing a lot of your talent development and your employee training. Because if you don't have the resources to do it or you don't have the time to do it, you're going to go look for somebody who was trained elsewhere, and basically you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for that person to have been trained by another firm that you had absolutely no say in. So everybody seems to be scrambling around still looking to find that perfect fit. It rarely exists. I think you wind up always having to train. It's possible to get somebody with good experience, but it doesn't replace, the core need to bring somebody on, get them trained properly, assimilate them into your office, and have them be successful. So I still think it's a little bit of a employees market a little bit. People are going out and hopping around a little bit, and you're still seeing a lot of ads for experience, 2 to 3 or 3 to 6 years of experience. And at some point, we're going to run out of that. How does somebody come into the business new, right? And get aside from going to a big company, I think that's probably where we see a lot of the issues is, there's a lot that people from other industries have to bring to the table, and maybe we're not doing as good a job in the industry as bringing those people in and teaching them the right way. So,
Yeah, I agree because a lot of advisors are coming from these large institutions where they haven't ran their own business before, and they're just realizing all the work that goes into client servicing just now. Where, to be honest, like maybe 5, 10 years ago, CSAs are very, undervalued and definitely underutilized. They sit in the intersection of like all the inner workings of what it takes to run an advisory firm. So it's really interesting to see there's so much opportunity, but then there's also a very high barrier to entry in terms of getting really good CSA candidates because there's still that very specific tech stack that they need to know. They need custodian training that's not readily available because nobody gets that exposure, or candidates don't get that exposure until they're with an actual firm. It's not readily available. So it's really interesting to see the different solutions that are kind of arising in the industry and the potential for that, because there's so much opportunity, but a shortage of talent. So I think that's where our firms really fill the gap there.
mhm.
We have a really great client servicing team, and I think a lot of the interviews, like I've interviewed hundreds of client servicing candidates, whether it's to be on the Nifty team or, people that are looking for an opportunity and they just want to get their feet wet in the industry. And a lot of the times, one of the questions I ask, of course, it's why are you interested in working at Nifty? And a lot of the times it's just reading my story of, always being overpromised something. We feel like we're at the bottom of the fish tank. There's no opportunity aside from just the advisor career path. And it's crazy how there's so many people that resonated with my story, and they're kind of creating their own career path for themselves. But also made me realize that, advisors are not managers. Like that there's a reason
Yeah.
why human resources is a whole other department, a whole other career path. And sometimes I do think that advisors or business owners have to go through the challenges to really realize, like, oh, here are my strengths and here are my weaknesses. And I think a lot of those advisors are starting to realize that as the RA industry has kind of picked up speed for quite a few years. And like now we're seeing which RAs have stayed afloat and which ones are sinking, unfortunately.
Right.
But a lot of the growth that's important is really team development and making sure that their team is well supported, and a lot of them are going through that journey for the first time. So yeah, I'm very excited to have conversations around a few of the key topics that we're having today. And
Yeah, absolutely.
let's kind of review the topics that we do have for today's session. Understanding the current state of your team, creating an employee value proposition, developing trust through accountability, and shape your brand through talent development. So we'll kind of go into the first topics. So understanding the current state of your team, it's really, well, how do you evaluate your needs now so you can hire and prospect for the future and really make sure that you're in it to win it, not just for yourself, but for everyone that's involved. So my